I'm going to be co-teaching with Tandra Odom. Tandra and I and our whole team in Art Around the Corner have collaborated together for over 10 years. So we're going to go into the next gallery and we're going to take a close look, and we're going to use a routine called Looking 5x2 to help us really look closely and carefully at the work of art. After that, we'll use our creative questions routine, and that will help us push our thinking to investigate the work even more deeply and ask some questions. So let's find a seat. Let's use the Looking 5x2 routine to capture some of our observations. So take a minute to just jot down in that first column 5 things that you notice. Could be colors, shapes, textures, arrangement, organization. Just jot down 5 words or phrases about what you see. I'm going to capture and write down some of the things that you notice on this notepad just to make our thinking visible. So what is something that you see in this work of art called Synecdoche by Byron Kim?
There is no pattern to follow. It's like, yeah, I try to find some.
All the tiles are of the same size.
I see extreme darkness to extreme lightness.
I see makeup.
Great, thank you. Let's push ourselves to use those describing words one step further and do 5 more. So 5 more words or phrases that you haven't already listed and that we haven't talked about as a group. And then let's turn to someone next to you, turn to a partner. We're going to do a little think, pair, share. Just talk for a minute.
As the vision for our world.
About what it represents in the mind of the artist. Is the artist thinking about humanity?
I think so. I think it's like each part is almost a color.
So let's hear more observations and descriptions about this work of art.
And they're like in 10, so it made me think of generations. There's no black and white. There are no opposites. I tried to find the darkest one as black, I couldn't, and white, I couldn't.
Interesting.
The
Okay.
same family of brown, but from the darkest brown to the light one.
Okay, I think that fills up our list of 5 things that we see. Tandra, are there things that are standing out to you in our list?
We had some interesting observations that were made that centered around colors. So I just want to share a little bit about the artist Byron Kim, and this is a picture of him that I will pass around. Kim is a Korean-American abstract contemporary artist who lives and works in New York City. His work is primarily concerned with colors, ideas, words, and the social political issues of our day. I heard someone talking about the word synecdoche. It is a figure of speech in which the part represents the whole and the whole represents the part. Each panel represents a portrait and is the size of a classic photographic portrait. Each panel represents the skin color of a person. Byron Kim's goal is not to provide us with an answer or even a single message. It is to require the viewer and challenge us to think, to wonder, and to ask questions. That leads us into our next thinking routine, which is creative questions. These are not just any kind of questions. The thinking routine has 3 steps, and I would like to guide you through those steps. And with your partner, you are going to create 12 thought-provoking, open-ended questions about this artwork. And here are some creative question prompts that could get you thinking. Why? How? What are the reasons? What is the purpose of? How would it be different if? Suppose that. What if? What if we knew? and what would change if. In step 2, with your partner, star the 3 most important questions that you have. Step 3, I would like for you to choose out of the 3 questions that you starred, the most important question out of those 3, and I want you to discuss it.
My question is, what if you touched one of those panels and you became that skin tone? How would that make you feel?
That will be lifetime experience.
You could change it in so many different ways and still have it be a really powerful statement.
We would like to hear a few of your interesting, thought-provoking, open-ended questions. And Julie is going to write them down.
How would it be different if there were imperfections in each square?
Yes.
We
Dallas.
wanted to know how it would be different if you arranged it differently. For example, not alphabetically, but by age.
If you you go to another country, are you gonna find different tones?
How does the artist know when it is finished?
Just one more. Can we hear from someone? Terry?
How would it be different if arranged in a different pattern, such as in a concentric circle? So one circle of one shade within a circle of another shade.
So now we're going to spend some time reflecting. Julie?
It sounds like you're curious to know about the artist's intention and his process. And a lot of your questions truly are creative and imaginative. I'd like to throw a question back to you. How would it be different if there were imperfections?
We all are human and we all have imperfections. And I don't know if we would see it the way that we see it now if every portrait had some type of thing in it. Why would they put that there? I don't know.
Exactly. It's interesting to think, what if he included a mole or a blemish? I'd like to share with you a little bit about the artist Byron Kim and his process. So when Kim began this work, he began by working with his family members, and he started doing what he called skin portraits of his family and close friends. And then from there, he went out and did some skin portraits of neighbors, and then he started doing portraits of strangers, and it just grew and grew. But he included all races, all ethnicities, and all ages in this work of art. And he didn't consider the work of art finished. It's an ongoing piece. And we have a guest in our audience, David Ibata, who's a local artist, and David was one of the sitters for Kim. And I'll point out David's portrait, 3 down and 7 across. And I thought if David would be willing, maybe David, you could share just a little bit, tell us a little bit about how he goes about making his portraits. That would be great.
Well, he just sits you down and then puts a piece of tape across your arm, forearm, and he tries to match the skin tone. He just mixes it up right in front of you. And he just goes back and forth trying to match it. I think it depends on each person. I mean, he mixed up a lot of interesting colors with me, like Venetian red, stuff I never even thought of. But then when you put it on your skin, it just matched up exactly.
Yeah, thank you. Nice. He's asking us, I think, some creative questions himself. The work of art is asking questions of us, like what are the limits of representation? He's wanting to challenge our ideas about categorization. What does it mean to categorize? What does it mean to put limits on something? And he's wanting to kind of take those limits off and see the value of the whole versus putting something into a category. Tandra is going to ask us another creative question.
So my question to you is, why might this artwork matter to you?
This matters to me because it represents my family, by blood, my siblings and nieces and nephews and my parents. Our complexions run the gamut. By marriage, I have a Caucasian aunt and a Chinese aunt as well. And so it just made me look at it, and then I spent time with my family over Thanksgiving, and I was thinking about like, wow, you know, we are all these different colors, and we're all a family. So that's what this means to me.
Yes.
Well, you know, for me, it's kind of personal because my last name is Kim.
It most certainly is.
And so I have pride in seeing this because it's a work by a Korean artist. I feel connection on a personal level, and kind of I think consciously about what he might have been thinking as he explored his identity in the context of larger human identity. Because I struggle with that, or I deal with that as well, as a Korean American living in America, working and living among different races.
So it matters to me. I just was wondering if I was up there, would I recognize myself? Would I be able to pinpoint myself? And it's something that is so important to so many people. Once you've been reduced to like a 8x10 block of color, what do you recognize about yourself? What do you not see?
I think that more of us should be more outreaching and reach out to people that we don't know, and to just see just how much we are alike rather than unlike.
In closing, we just want to come back into our roles as educators and reflect a little bit on our process. What happened, or what did you notice about your thinking when you were going through that creative questions routine?
The more I discussed the questions with my thought partner, the more I thought differently about her, the more ideas that came to mind. So it was helpful to have that first layer of questions, and then the second layer, and the discussion kind of pushed my thinking further.
Just noticing that when asking questions, it causes discussion, and discussion causes people to respect differences, or even to address differences. It causes you to ask more questions.
We're curious to hear how you might apply some of this in your classroom.
I like the idea of giving some of the question stems and letting the students create their own questions to help foster their own conversations in their smaller groups.
I really enjoyed this piece because you could really use it across different curriculums. I really like when students can connect with a work of art on many different levels. And something so uniform with patterns and shapes, with shapes, it's easy to use it in math. And then you could use it in ELA, like, okay, what does this say about humanity? What does this say about the state of the world today? And have them kind of come up with their own question and answer for it. I think it'd be great to have the students connect with a work of art on a really deep level like that.